if you see a company that you like, help them out, give them a little love on social media. NWAngelConf is the hashtag or the Twitter handle that you should tweet out about. All right, next up is Foodli. Presenting is Ish Singh. All right, take it away.
Imagine, it is year 2020, and you have just arrived at work in a driverless car, stress-free. You are ready to take on meeting after meeting. It is lunchtime. You head to your favorite restaurant, and now you're with your coworkers. And now you're greeted with a long line. And wait, isn't that what happens at restaurants today? You go to a restaurant, and what happens? You wait in line to place an order, or you wait to get a table. Then you wait for food. If you're hungry, too bad. Then you wait for a check. If it was a full-service restaurant, you would wait to get a check or split the payment. And it's a pain for the restaurants too. And there are other restaurant pains, like shortage of labor and rising minimum wages. These are cutting into their margins, and many are closing down, small ones. Reaching out to customers is very difficult, costly, and painful. Is that what still will be happening in 2020? No. Let's rewind. You arrive in a driverless car, stress-free. You go through meeting after meeting, and when you reach your restaurant at lunchtime, your table is ready. You're seated. Your food is served exactly the way you customized it. You are enjoying a wonderful conversation with your coworkers, and that is what we call a real lunch break. Done eating? Just walk out. What happened to the check? What happened to splitting? Well, that's the 2020 experience, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to wait till 2020. Introducing Foodli, the future of automated restaurants, cashier-less restaurants, food trucks, is here now. With Foodli app, there's no need to wait in line. No cashier, no point of sale system. You tap anywhere and your order goes directly to the kitchen. You are in control. And you have a beautiful menu full of information to make a good choice. And your payment is automatic. It's happening right now. You might be wondering, what happens to the people who walk in? Surprise, we have them covered. They walk up, you see the kiosk over there, they touch, they can place the order, and it goes directly to the kitchen. Last 3 months, we launched our public beta, onboarded 21 restaurants and food trucks, and we have live orders already happening, massive feedback. We are onboarding 8 more, and we have a pipeline of 80 plus. And we are releasing this kiosk. Let's talk about the restaurant market. It's a massive market with $799 billion revenue in US alone. Out of that, 6.6% comes through online and branded apps for large chains. Delivery only accounts for 5% of that revenue. 83% of that revenue is processed by clunky old point-of-sale systems. Let's look how much it costs. A point-of-sale system costs anywhere from $2K to $10K per year. And that's not all. A labor cost, the person who's standing there taking your orders, costs the restaurant $24 to $30K per year per station. Now, that cuts into the margin of a small and mom and pop shop restaurant. And we are replacing this with automation, bringing a low-cost solution to small and medium chains and empowering them to compete against large chains who can spend millions of dollars and build that kind of technology. And we'll see who has done it. In this restaurant market space is massive, and there are multiple players, and there is room for everybody. ChowNow, they're a white-labeled app, and they make each app for each restaurant. So if you in your neighborhood have 3 restaurants, you will have 3 different apps. If you have 50, you'll have 50 different apps. That's what their business model is. All set, it's one app, but it's dine-in only. Foodli is positioned very differently. Our goal is to solve consumers' problem, and not only that, at the same time, solve the restaurant's problem as well. When we do that well, now we are the honey that drives the entire business. And with that data, we will be launching marketing automation, which nobody else has. And not to forget, we are out-competing every single player in this market Our revenue comes through transaction fees, and we are adding kiosk subscription fees as well. Later, we will be charging for promotions, featured listings, text messages, email blasts. We have tons of different options that we are going to be capitalizing on. Let's see where the world is going. Millennials spend 5+ hours a day on their smartphones, and they expect to do every single thing on their smartphones. Starbucks saw this trend and decided to introduce a mobile order app. Since we started, it's been growing 1% every quarter. Within 3 quarters, it has reached 10% of their revenue, entire Starbucks revenue. And that's not all. Panera Bread. Panera Bread just announced they're on par to do $1 billion in their revenue through online, mobile, and kiosk combined. And we are bringing this technology to medium-sized small chains that can't afford it on their own, but we can do it for them. Our projections are that we will be in 350 restaurants next year, and in 5 years we will cross 30,000 restaurants. And there are 330,000 independently owned restaurants in US alone. Our revenue is projected to 200,000 next year, all the way to 90 million in 5 years and going beyond. Our team, sorry we missed the photographs. You can see us right here. So Kulmeet is over there. Kulmeet is a hustler, pretty charming guy too. His last startup, he grew to thousands of users very quickly. And I'll tell you an interesting thing. Recently, a cop pulled him over, and he was about to give him a ticket, and he handed him a Foodli card that said, "Cut the line." He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "If you go to a food truck, you don't have to stand in line, use the app." So he got a user and got out of a ticket. It's true story. And let's meet Naresh. He's an accomplished serial entrepreneur. His startup was bought by Groupon. He's had 4 startups. He's a successful serial entrepreneur, to say the least. We brought him on as an advisor. We thought we need some help, and he can guide us. When he saw the action, he just couldn't sit on the sidelines. He said, "I'm jumping in. I'm joining the team." And welcome, Naresh. Thank you. I'm Ish. I'm also a serial entrepreneur. My last business, I built it to 4 million in annual revenue, and also built the e-commerce platform and processed millions of dollars in transactions for our customers. So e-commerce and mobile commerce is very familiar and a solid piece for me. And one more thing. What could that be? We just signed a 40 location chain. It's the fastest growing sandwich chain. They've signed us up to, and it's called Ike's Place. It's a wonderful sandwich. I went there and tried it. They're not in Seattle, but they're in Phoenix. You guys should fly down there and eat their sandwich. That's good. Seriously. I actually feel like buying a ticket and going tonight. They're launching with us first cashierless restaurant in January 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, the era of cashierless restaurants, food trucks, cafes, and workplace cafeterias is here now. We can make it happen faster, so join us. Thank you for your time. I'll take your questions.
So thank you for a great pitch and an enlightening experience. And also I want to thank the due diligence team, Martha and Chun, Ken, and Richard. Like all the teams, we explored several areas, and I'd like to highlight the strength of this team's technical skills and business acumen. Ish has been the sole developer, and his background in e-commerce has been invaluable to create a service like this, because Foodli is more than a consumer app experience. So when I first saw the pitch, that's what I thought it was, and then the more we dug into it, the more I realized there's just a lot more to it. It's back-end services and hardware to automate restaurant processes. We do have a few remaining questions. The first is, we know your burn rate is low based on the research that we did, and you don't need the funds immediately. So if you should win, how would you use the funds to grow Foodli?
Look, 3 guys, you give them $150K, where are they going to go? Vegas. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. No, don't tell my wife that, please. So we don't actually need the money because we believe in frugality. We believe we can outcompete our competitors by spending very little because we can innovate. But we will need money because it's a massive, massive market, and we can dominate this market. And that's what we are here for. We will take this money and go raise more money because we will need it when we are ready to grow. And so we will use the funds that we raise now and in future, we will use it for growth. None of us are taking salary. And another thing I would like to add, I put in $50K at the start of this business, and now me and Naresh combined are adding another $50K to fund this even further. We don't need that money yet, but when we need it, we'll already have it on hand.
So you mentioned your previous business, KindBase. What are the implications to Foodli if you turn KindBase into a nonprofit?
Actually, KindBase should have started as a nonprofit. The whole goal is to help nonprofits. One good news I'll share, this year we helped save a nonprofit that's been 40-year-old nonprofit, local, that was going to go under. We helped them raise enough funds. The implication to Foodli is nothing. The company structure will remain the same. We will issue one restricted license to the nonprofit for the use of software in a fundraising environment. It's the exact same software, it's used in fundraising. And so the nonprofit will have the ability to serve other nonprofits, and so it will have no impact on the business. The business owns the IP, they will simply issue a gratis license or as a grant.
So you talked a little bit about the competition. Clearly you're not the only player in this field, but why would a diner choose Foodli over a competitor like Allset, which got cut off?
So if you look at this market space, there are many players because there is room for everybody. The other thing is Allset is taking a different approach. They're thinking by giving you $10 because they've raised $8 million, they can just give you a bunch of money to actually get your orders. That's not how people use apps or anything in life. They use it when they love it. Our goal is to build something that people love, use, and then talk about it. Nobody's talking about Allset. They've just raised money by giving, for him, for example, they would give him $50. He will spend that $50 and produce 5 orders. Now they have numbers to go to VCs and say, hey, we've, all this traction. That's not how we are doing it. We are doing it purely organic by feedback, learning from the consumer, making sure that they love the product. If it's not there, we're going to keep working at it. Also, we're solving problems for restaurants. None of the other players are doing it.
Oh, go ahead.
We still have 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the restaurants are the ones who get the customers. You're not coming in for the app. You're coming in for the food. And what we are doing is we are enriching the consumer's experience and the discoverability of that and the whole process of transaction, automating and making it friction-free. When it's friction-free, that's what people use. I'll give one example. How many of you remember you went to an airport just a few years ago and you stood in a line to get a boarding pass? You don't do that anymore. You use a mobile order check-in or a kiosk. That's exactly what we're applying to a completely different industry, fully automated restaurants.
All right.
Thank you.